My name is Nancy Berliner. I'm the Wutong Senior Curator of Chinese Art at the Museum of Fine Arts here in Boston. When I look at these paintings, I was prostrate. No, decidedly, I had never had such an art experience. They really completely changed the concept that these American art historians had of Chinese art. In the year 1178, in the early part of the Southern Song dynasty, two artisans, Zhou Qichang and Lin Jingui, were hired, they were commissioned to do a set of 100 paintings, and each painting would depict 5 lohan. As far as we know, this is one of the earliest depictions of 500 lohan. One of the paintings I'd like to focus on today is of 5 lohans. 4 of them are looking at the 5th, who is transforming himself into an image of an 11-headed guanyin. But if we look around the painting, we see that there are some other people in the foreground. And we see there's a man with a brush, there's another man holding a sketch. What's going on here? The paintings were commissioned by a temple outside of Ningbo called Huianyuan. Art historians believe that these are images of the artist, of the man who commissioned and paid for all the paintings, the patron. The man with the brush is the artist. It's the patron who is holding the sketch, and then behind him you can see that there's a Buddhist monk, and he's the one who will have the paintings in his possession at his temple. They hung there for about maybe 100 years. At some point in the 13th century, the Japanese purchased this whole set of 100 paintings from the temple in Ningbo and brought them back to a temple in Japan. In the late 19th century, the temple at the time was in need of financing. They asked if they could loan some of their great treasure, the 500 lohan paintings, to the Museum of Fine Arts. So in 1894, they sent 44 of these fabulous Nansong paintings from Ningbo to the Museum of Fine Arts. There was a very famous art historian and connoisseur in Boston. His name was Bernard Berenson. And he wrote about the moment when they started opening up the paintings from Japan. They had a composition of figures and groups as perfect and simple as the best we Europeans have ever made. I was prostrate. Fenellosa shivered as he looked. I thought I should die, and even Denman Ross was jumping up and down. We had to poke each other and pinch each other's necks and wept. No, decidedly, I had never had such an art experience. When I look at these paintings, I think back to the Song dynasty, and I imagine someone coming into a temple and seeing all these paintings of these wondrous beings, so naturalistic. One of the paintings depicts the 5 lohan, one of whom is sitting meditating in a cave. He's very much at peace. There are waters all around him, threatening him, but he's in complete peace. And if we look at this painting, we'll notice that all the lohan are painted in color. They're all very realistic. But if we look at the cave and the rocks surrounding the lohan who's meditating, it's painted completely in ink and very expressive brush strokes. Song Dynasty was really the height of naturalism in Chinese art history and Chinese painting. It was the transition moment. So it's mixing really two different moments of Chinese art history and two different styles of painting. We see the mixture of polychrome and monochrome in another painting as well. And it's the painting where the lohan are giving alms to beggars. The lohan are in bright colors, very naturalistic, and the beggars, the poor people, are in very expressionistic and much more muted, just ink on the silk painting. They came alive for these people who didn't have photographs, very rarely saw paintings. It's very moving, on one hand, to see the lohan sharing and their generosity to the poor people within the society. And it's also just very interesting to see how they're depicted and how much suffering there was in society at that time. Looking down at them, all engaged with other people, whether they're giving to beggars or being respected and paid tribute to by foreigners. We see various people in all different types of costumes and dress. There's one that's wearing a long skirt that is very clearly not Chinese. There's another one wearing a multicolored hat. They're bringing gifts to the lohans from afar. One of them is offering the lohan a large piece of coral that has probably come all the way from Europe. The images are depicting how respected the lohan are amongst all the peoples of the world. These paintings really completely changed the concept that these American art historians had of Chinese art. Beforehand, people had only seen mostly vases or bronzes or perhaps furniture or 19th century painting, but they had no idea about the beauty of Song art, of the verisimilitude, the brush strokes, and they were carried away and delighted. And they were floored, as you heard from the quotes. They were prostrate. They bowed down to these paintings because they were so enamored of the artistic work and passion that went into creating them. It's a thrill even for people today to see these works that transport us back to the Song Dynasty and also just transport us into the world of beautiful brushstroke.